Welcome to Batchademia,
a podcast so educational it could be a university class.
With your hosts,
Danielle Dick McHugh,
Kim Hannah,
and Bill Henninger. Welcome everybody to Batchademia. I'm back from backpacking and I'm with Kim, and I have no idea in the rotation because I know that there are thousands of people out there who have like marked down on their calendar what the rotation is. And they're just messed up now. They are pissed. We're going to lose one of our 10 followers over this probably.
Don't be mad and don't be sad. Change is fun and flexibility is more fun.
Yeah, I feel like they're getting double you. Why? Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want double Kim?
I mean, I am fun to be around.
You're very fun. What's new?
Well, a lot is new. Yeah. We were just talking before we hit record. Sorry, I have ice behind my teeth right now.
That's fine. I hit you with it right when you drank.
What?
I hit you with it right when you drank.
You did. It's fine. It's just squirt. It's fine. Mm-hmm. I am moving.
Ooh.
In 2 weeks. So I'm packing like a fiend every night after work. A little bit, because I'm moving a little bit faster than I thought I would be, which is okay. And I'm very organized, so I know I can get it done. It's just like, okay, I have a timeline, I have a deadline, let's make this magic happen.
That's how it happens though, you know. That's when we moved, it was like, you're like, oh, we got plenty of time, and then you like get panicked and it's like, all right, we just got to do this. So
I'm just purging this move though. Like I'm like, my donate pile is getting bigger and bigger every day, and my throwing away pile is getting bigger and bigger every day. Nice. And I'm very proud of myself. So
it is very cathartic to throw all your.
It's very liberating to get rid of books you've had from college for 20 years that you've never opened since your sophomore year seminar about presidents. So that's nice.
I love it. Speaking of college, this is going to be nowhere near as good of a transition as Danielle. College starts next week, but That's not the question I'm going to ask. Okay. I have the question of the day. If you had to be slapped in the face by any animal, think like last week when they were doing the fish slap.
Oh, yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, a human is slapping you, but it's with the animal. Okay. What animal would you least like to be smoked in the face with?
Least like to be smoked?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because obviously, most would be something like really fluffy.
Yeah, I was like a rabbit.
Right.
But least, I think I would not enjoy being slapped by an eel. Because eels freak me out anyways.
So you're going just with like animal freak out. That's a good method. I went with like just what would hurt the most, and it's got to be some type of crustacean. Or like an armadillo.
They pinch you while they slap you.
Yeah. Yep. Obviously a large animal like a bear. If you're just using his paw, or a large cat, that would hurt.
I know, but wouldn't it kind of be really fun and a really good story to be like, my friend slapped me with a bear, and here I am. I'm still alive.
That would be amazing. Or a shark fin.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Have you ever been up close to a whale?
No.
Being slapped by a whale would probably hurt.
They're huge, right? They're like huge. 3 school buses or something like that, depending on the breed.
And when they're real close to your boat, you're like, this is how we die. All right, let's do this.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I've been up close to a moose.
Those are big too.
They are like, you think they're big until you get up to one, and they are like weird giant deer camel. They're like a deer camel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With like the Game of Thrones Iron Throne on their head.
Yeah, with a huge like goring system. So
yeah.
I was backpacking through Glacier National Park last week, and with my dad, and we had a family of goats that like just took to us, and they followed us over all of the passes, and they were very cute. And they like to lick the salt off your backpack and your urine from the ground.
Did you give them names that identified with their personalities or the
Well,
things that they looked like?
there was one we named Bill Five, so I'm the fourth, and they call Billy Goats, so we just started calling him Bill Five, but not the other ones.
Love it. Love it.
All right, we ready to get down to business?
Let's do this.
All right, so full disclosure, I got home. I don't know. Kim pulled into my driveway.
You got home at the same time I got to your house on Monday night.
Yes, and I had been gone for about 7 days, and then I immediately went in, and because we are so freaking committed to this podcast, we just started watching the show. I was on like 3 hours of sleep.
We did.
So I'm gonna do a breakdown, but Kim, feel free to jump in.
Well, and I'm going to interject. I know you were tired because we had a conversation about my subleasing situation before we started recording that we also had on Monday night that you clearly didn't remember that we had.
Really?
Yep.
Was I involved? Oh man, yeah, I was tired. I was doing my best. I was trying to pretend I wasn't tired, but I was barely making it.
You looked pretty tired.
Yeah.
And not in the, ooh, you look tired, like you look terrible way, but in a, like, you've just been driving for 2 days and you look tired.
I probably look terrible too, so I'm not gonna, that doesn't hurt my feelings. All right, here we go. Interject as I go through here. So the SS Bachelorette Titanic has pulled up anchor, and we have gone to Amsterdam, and we are going to narrow men down to the point where we are now almost at hometowns. And we had a big debate. Are they doing hometowns? Are they not? Are they flying families out? It looked like maybe they're flying families out, but I don't know. So,
and they're doing, I looked at the schedule for the rest of the season. They're doing all of the hometowns next week, but they're splitting up the fantasy suites between two episodes.
Right. And I don't know if it's like Gabby's fantasy suites and Nicole's fantasy suites, or if it's like splitting them. Right.
Oh, Nicole.
Oh, damn it, Rachel. Damn you, Danielle. Hi, Danielle. Danielle is not feeling well today either. I was in a meeting with her and she looked tired. So we all tired.
Time of year.
All right. So we get to Amsterdam. We don't know. Are they going to like sail this boat back across the Atlantic, Titanic style, to see families? I hope. I can only hope that.
What if they hit an iceberg? Wouldn't that be amazing?
Right? What if Gabby is on the door and Rachel Nicole tries to get on and she's like, sorry, there's no room, Rachel. When there clearly is more than enough room. All right. So they go. Rachel's got the first one-on-one with Zach. Tino's really disappointed. And it goes really well. Gabby's got a one-on-one with Nate. And basically she starts crying. She sends Nate home. And Nate cries, and it's basically because Gabby doesn't 100% know if she wants a daughter. And so having Nate on board, it would it definitely say you have to have a daughter. And you all had a wonderful conversation about that last week about Nate and talking a lot about his daughter, but then all these women are coming out and saying, I never met his daughter. So we don't know how much of a daddy Nate really is.
Mm-hmm.
But many women would call him daddy.
Daddy Nate.
So then they walk in, they pick up Nate's suitcase, they walk out, and all the dudes are like, bro, Nate was such a good guy. Then Rachel Nicole goes with Zach. They go through like some tulips because they're in the Netherlands. You got to do it.
You have to. It's the law
I saw
there.
it. Actually, I went out to the windmills and the tulips when I was in Amsterdam a few years ago. It's pretty cool. So if you get there, although they didn't do the Anne Frank house in this episode because I don't think it worked well. But if you ever find yourself in Amsterdam and you want a sobering experience that really hammers home World War II and what it meant to people of the Jewish religion, go to the Anne Frank house. So then they like go in a bathtub, hot tub. We got our hot tub. They kiss. I think Rachel Nicole was a little tipsy. Zach says he goes to therapy. Rachel loves it. She's into it. I saw in one of the recaps, like gone are the days of like the college football player that's just a nice construction worker. Now you got to be nice, like a blue collar guy, and be really into therapy.
And for that, I say thank you. Like,
That's cool.
thank God. No,
Mhm.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Have a personality, have a backstory. I think they learned their lesson with Clayton and they're moving forward.
I agree. So then they go back to the ship. Gabby meets the guys, they want to hug her. After a good night's sleep, Gabby takes all the dudes to a weird dominatrix thing. They get whipped. She pours candle wax on them. Some of the guys seem very repressed about it. Some of the guys are really into it. And then anything to add to that? It was odd. It was very like, this is the red light district.
I feel like the Amsterdam Chamber of Commerce was like, really? Come on. That's my
fact.
comment about that.
There is a new mayor, I believe he's a new mayor elected to Amsterdam, and I think it's a he, not a she, wants to move the red light district outside of town so that you would have to like go out to it instead of it being like right in the center. If you've ever been to Amsterdam, the red light district is certainly there, but it does not dominate it. Like they just have a really cool downtown, and it is like Americans gawking at it and everybody else just nonchalantly like, if you want to go to a sex worker, go to a sex worker. If you don't, let's go to this bar.
I once watched a documentary and I can't remember where I saw it. Maybe Netflix, but it followed two elderly ladies who had been sex workers in the red light district in Amsterdam like for 55, 60 years. They were sisters.
Oh, okay.
And I can't remember the name of the documentary, and I should have looked it up before we started this, but it is a really good documentary, so I highly recommend it.
You said it was on Netflix?
I think it was, but that was years ago, so it might not be on anymore.
I love this.
I'm gonna Google it.
I love when somebody gives me a very vague, I think I saw it on Netflix and it was about this. And I'm not being facetious here. I love to sit down and try to find it. I might not even watch it, but I love to just like, is it on Apple?
It wouldn't be on Apple.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm Googling documentary sex workers, sisters, Amsterdam, and I can't wait to see. Oh, I found it.
First shot?
Yeah.
Google machine.
Meet the Falcons. Amsterdam's oldest prostitutes.
Huh. Well, there you go.
This was in October 2012. Twin prostitutes 69, so they're younger than I remember them being.
Okay.
Meet the Falcons follows Martine and Louise, two endearingly dowdy sister sex workers. Thank you, New York Daily News. Oh my God. Yep. This is amazing. So I'm not sure what channel it would be on now, but if you want to watch their documentary, it's pretty good. And it's called Meet the Falcons, FOKKEENS.
Here's what I learned when I was over there. There is a person for every kink, because, I walked around obviously and like, I'm going to check it out, watch people go in, and there are like all different colors, women with no arm, men dressed as women, and they're all behind their doors and people are going in. And it's like, kind of restored my faith in humanity a little bit, that it's like, there's a lot of people out there and they, there's someone for everyone. And it was very hard. It was very hard as a nice Iowan when you're walking by the doors and they're waving to you, not to come over and explain why you're not interested, like, oh, thank you so much. But I'm married and I'm just here. I'm a tourist. I'm not really interested, but you seem very nice. And, but I got over it. I just kind of like waved and kept walking.
And they're like, I don't care. I want the money. So you just keep walking.
Yeah. There was a part of me that wanted to be like, can I pay you $20 for you just to tell me what a day is like for you? Like, the researcher in me. Yeah.
So this documentary, Meet the Falcons, they talk about how many men they entertain who just want to talk to somebody. They don't even sleep with them. They just pay them to sit and talk because either their wife won't talk to them or listen to them, or they're unmarried or whatever. She probably would have charged you more than $20 though, because you'd be paying for an hour of their time. It doesn't matter what you're doing in there.
That's true. Anything goes for an hour. You want to cry? You want to make some like spaghetti bolognese? Whatever. The money's just got to be there.
You just want to spoon for a while and watch Friends?
There you go.
You just have to pay the hourly fee.
I miss my wife. Can we sit on opposite ends of the couch and play on cell phones while we watch a murder documentary? Okay, so that was a long derail, but we're
That was
back.
amazing.
Yep. So then they're getting ready for the night, and Jesse knocks on the door. He says, "Hey, guess what? Logan has COVID." Gabby says, "Yeah." And then she feels bad for him. She just wants him to get better. The men seem somewhat sad about it. They say Logan's journey is over. But then it seemed like her men have to quarantine. But Rachel Nicole's don't. And so they go on a date where they lift cheese.
This is awesome.
Ethan almost wins. Yeah.
My favorite part of the whole episode was when Ethan was like, I'm lactose intolerant. And he has to do cheese.
Here's the thing. As much as Ethan is awesome, if he told me that and that was like him and I might date, I think I'd have to be like, sorry, man. I bond with people around cheese. So
but you hang out with me and I don't
true.
eat cheese.
That's a good point. And I find you to be a delightful company. So I need to rethink this.
See? You have to rethink your whole life now.
Yep.
Don't judge.
Tino wins. They go to the after party. Tino really turns it on. Avon turns it on, and then Tino doesn't get the rose. He's really mad. Ethan calls him a little bitch. Tyler gets the rose. I think that's how that all went down. Then they go to the final. Yep. Final rose ceremony. Team Gabby goes first. Eric, Jason, and Johnny are going to hometown. Spencer, he going along with Logan. Team Rachel, Nicole, Avon, and Tino join Tyler and Zach in the winner's circle. Poor Ethan, he's gone. Next week, hometowns. And is Zach's dad Putty from Seinfeld?
God, I hope so, because when they showed Patrick Warburton, I think I squealed a little bit. I was like, wait, who's related to Patrick Warburton?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Is it really him, though? That's what I want to know.
It looked like him.
It certainly did. So.
Sounded like him, and he has a very distinct sound.
He does. That's his whole career, right?
He was even in The Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, yeah. He was wasn't he the
he was the voice? Servant guy.
Oh, yeah. He also had the Tick TV show.
Yes.
That was on Amazon, short-lived. That was pretty good. So, all right. You ready for my concepts?
Please. Bring them on.
Here we go. So, one of the ones that I want to talk about, Gabby seems at a crossroads on if she wants to have children, which I think everyone is, right? And I think more than anyone would suspect. So there's this default that all women want children, and that is not the case. There's a lot of women out there that don't want that. However, she seemed to have a really hard time with Nate because dating Nate would mean that she gets a child. It's not like they can kind of spend time together and then make the decision. So what do you think about having to make that decision so early on?
I think that if you date someone with children, it is something you have to think about right away. Mm-hmm. Because no matter what you're dating, what you feel about the person that you're dating, mm-hmm. Unless he's an absolute dick of a human being and father, mm-hmm. that child is always part of the conversation, is always part of the decision making, even if that child is not there. So if that's not something that you are comfortable being on board with, I think it's better to know that at the beginning and not take it very far than to take it far and then be like, ooh, I don't want to be a mom, because that kid could fall in love with you. That kid could get attached to you, and then you could really destroy I don't even want to say destroy. You could really impact negatively a whole lot of things if you just decide 6 months in, a year in, you know what, never mind, I don't want to be a mom. Because then that kid is like, this person doesn't love me, or this person doesn't like me. What did I do wrong?
So I'm at a little bit like I'm at a crossroads with it because I don't think you have to make the decision. I think it is okay to date them as a package, and decide if that's the family you want to become part of. She wasn't like, I absolutely don't want children. She said, I just don't know.
Right.
And I feel like if you're upfront about that and you ease into it, I mean, everyone has to make their own decision, but I guess I felt like she kind of was like, I don't know, so I can't just keep Nate around.
Well, and I do think it's smart to make that decision before you meet the child.
Interesting. So what about if they don't have a child? What are your feelings on just having to decide early on?
That you don't want kids?
Well, just you shouldn't date someone if I want kids and I'm going to date somebody and they're not sure. What do you think about that?
I think that is one of the biggest reasons why marriages break up.
I'd agree with
Because
you.
they think that like one does want kids, one doesn't want kids. The
Mhm.
one that does want kids thinks that that person will change their mind,
Mhm.
or vice versa.
Right.
And then they get to a point where that is all they're focusing on, and they realize they're not going to change the other person's mind, and then it causes a lot of, or they say maybe I do, and then you have a kid and then you get divorced, which is
Mhm.
also not a great situation. So no, I think I think if you know that you're not sure, or you know that you absolutely don't want kids,
Mhm.
or you want kids, that should
Right.
always be a conversation that you're having while you're dating. And that should definitely be a conversation you have before you get married.
Yeah, I don't know. I am torn on it. I guess I feel like people can change their minds too. Um, but yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. Like you said, I feel like definitely in the US, we identify marriage as like the first step to having kids, as opposed to marriage, and then you could potentially offshoot to having kids. And so I feel like probably most people aren't able to like keep an open mind enough and like, have conversations that it would be a good idea. But I wish people could. I wish it was something that we could like. What was that?
Someone just rang on my doorbell and I'm not going to answer it.
Did I accidentally send food to your house? I think we have Chinese food coming to our house.
No, I can
Cool.
hear voices.
Do you want to turn the lights off? Pretend you're not home?
They'll go away eventually. It's probably political things.
Oh man. Imagine if they break into your house. This is going to be the most listened to, watched podcast we've ever had.
The door is like right next to me. So I could I'd just be sitting here and being like,
You should
"You're
open
in
it. You should open it and scare them. Like, no, get away.
Somebody rang the doorbell last week too. I don't know what's
Huh.
going on. I don't like it. Okay, here's a question for you.
For me?
Or just in general.
Yeah.
It's 2022. Nobody's coming to your house without texting first. So if someone rings your doorbell, they're a serial killer.
Yeah, I agree. Or a political person.
Right. So I'm not going to answer it.
And the political people need to get on board, right? Like, figure it out, guys.
I already know who I'm voting for. You're not going to change my mind.
Yeah.
Walk away.
All right. Next concept.
Yes.
This podcast went from one about the Bachelorette to a like true crime podcast real quick. All right. So Tino
They're
seemed
still there.
whoa. I bet they can hear it talking.
I could be on the phone.
I feel like as Americans, we have the right to not open our doors.
Yeah.
Like people seem very presumptuous that if I'm home, I'm going to answer it. I'm like, I have every right to just tell you, yeah.
It is not Halloween. It is not May Day. Don't come to my house unsolicited.
Exactly. Those are the only 2 days I need to answer my door. All right.
Yes.
So Tino seemed to think he deserved the rose for his performance. I said we unpack this. First off, was his performance so great that he deserved a rose?
No, I don't like Tino.
Yeah. Which is strange because I think we all kind of liked him at the beginning. He seemed very like humble and, not like conceited. And now it's like he's showing his true colors. He's good looking and
I think he is her father, which means I think he's going to be her final rose.
Oh, okay. So you think he's what is it, Big Ed or Big
Big
Al?
Tony or something.
Big Tony, that's it. And he's very like domineering and
He's very like, my daughter is my world, my possession. You have to blah blah blah. And I get a lot of those vibes from Tino.
I get that. Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't very impressed with his like he didn't do anything other than hold the cheese the longest. It wasn't like so
And he barely beat Ethan,
yeah,
the lactose intolerant guy.
yeah, barely. I thought they tied. I thought it looked like the two of them like sat down and they tied, but
I think they were both like leaning down, but Ethan's cheek
Ah.
touched the ground first. That's what she said.
that's what she said. I did that once in a plank competition with somebody. I was like, you want to just gentleman's agreement? And then it was like 3, 2, 1. And then he tried to like go down a little bit after me. It's like, oh, dirty.
That's a
Does anyone
dick
deserve
move.
anything because they do something on a date? Like, I guess just the idea of like, I did this on a date, so I deserve anything seems very date rapey to me. Like the downhill slope to like, well, I paid for your dinner. You owe
So
me.
you should sleep with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't agree with that either. I don't think that and it goes both ways.
hmm
I don't think anyone has to do something to get something on a date. Unless
Right.
that's your like relationship, how you like play with each other and
Uh-huh.
like, hey, you eat this whole burger and I'll do, like that sounds awful.
You got some weird sexual kinks there. It's like,
I just like to watch people eat food that I can't eat and then smell their breath afterwards. Is that weird? That might be weird.
going back to the dominatrix thing. So here, this is a good idea. This takes me into my final question of this like concept. What is the one thing someone could do on a date that would make you give them the rose and end the show? So it's like there's still 7 guys left, right? Or girls, whatever. And they are they do something on this one-on-one date and you're like, it's done. You go full Claire, right?
I saw this question and I should have put an answer together before we were on this Zoom call together.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be to make me a 5-course meal.
Oh,
and then clean up afterwards.
okay.
So they do all the cooking. It's all food I can eat. And then they clean up afterwards.
So you're into the acts of love. You want that, like, yeah. Mine would
Acts
be
of
like
service and quality time are my love languages.
nice. Mine would be if they were like, you know what, this is dumb. We're doing some dumb date, whatever. I talked about how they were at the Reykjavik, and like I feel very like inept when I'm there because people just stare at paintings and I'm like, what are they looking at? What's happening here? If they were like midway through the Reykjavik and they're like, hey, let's go watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 5
The musical episode?
Yes. And I'll make you nachos. I'd be like, it's over, guys.
That
Let's get it out.
I changed my answer.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
Yeah, let's go. We're done. Let's pack it in, producers.
So he makes me nachos and cheesecake, and then we watch the Buffy musical episode, and then he cleans up. There we go.
That one or the
Final
end of
rose.
the end of the 5th episode or the end of the 5th season where she jumps into the hellmouth
Yes.
to save her sister. So I'm not a crier, but I had like tears down my face. Like, my God, she does love her. So
I own the Buffy musical episode soundtrack on CD.
ooh, that's
And
good.
that one was not taken to half price books yesterday.
Nice.
I still own it. I still kept it.
I have a dream that you, me, and Christy Marchesani create a podcast where we watch each episode and then talk about it.
I would do that in a heartbeat.
Right? So, all right. Last concept. Is the US that sexually repressed? So that is the stereotype when you go out of the country. And the stereotype that in Amsterdam, that they're just a very open, like sexually whatever kind of area of the world. My question is, does that dominatrix really represent sexual freedom? It seemed kind of like just kinks.
I do not think that we are sexually repressed. I just think that we don't talk about it, especially in the Midwest, because Midwesterners just don't talk about stuff. We just
shove that shit right
we
under
do
the
what
rug.
we do, but we don't talk about it.
Yeah. For any of our listeners in other regions or countries, the Midwest, we are very interesting, but we just don't talk about it.
We don't talk about anything. We don't talk about our feelings. So I don't think we are. We might have used to be, but I think that maybe as generations have gotten out of, as we've branched further away from Pilgrim Landing, I think we've become more and more open. I just don't think we talk about it, and we don't necessarily like shove it in people's faces like maybe other countries. And I don't think that, like, I don't know that other countries are as wild or promiscuous as they give off either.
That's a good point. Yeah. I think there is not as much hand-wringing in other countries after the fact. So I think that, like, specifically in Amsterdam, it's like you do what you do and then it's like you move on. But we have shows like,
we're in our heads all over the place.
Yeah, we have shows like Sex in the City, which that show is actually less about sex and about like after, and then like the neuroticism of it, you know. Same thing with like Seinfeld, right? It was like more.
That's a very specific population.
Okay.
That is experiencing those things. And it's
That's
also
true.
like, I can't stand Sex in the City. I don't enjoy that
Really?
show. I don't like
Whoa.
any of the characters on that show.
We're learning so much about
I
you.
know, I'm so like crazy. And I think like I don't know. But I agree. I think that people do think about it more here because we're constantly being told to think about it here.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because then there's other countries where they really don't talk about it, like some of the Eastern countries. But they have very robust sex worker industries, right? But it is like you just do not talk about it. And so there's this whole other, where here we have very restrictive rules on sex workers and, you know, that type of thing. But then we talk about it. Yeah.
The hotel that I stayed in when I was in college in Guangzhou, China, which is in the southeast side portion of China, the hotel that we stayed at was a hotel for Western travelers. And there was a big ass brothel in the basement of that hotel that we didn't realize was a brothel when we went down and started dancing on the dance floor because we're college students, and there was like a disco in the basement of the hotel. And then we started looking around and there were all these like European and American businessmen in suits just like sitting at tables watching us.
I've never heard that story, Kim. That's amazing.
So then we're like, and it's time to go back to our room.
Time to go upstairs. Huh. I dig it. All right. Time for your wild card. What do we got?
Okay. So
unless you have more comments on the sexual freedom, potentially about how you like to feed people and then smell their breath.
I don't like put food in their mouth. I'm not like shoving my nose in their mouth. I'm just like, oh my God, that smells amazing. Did you enjoy it? Yeah, a little bit. I can't eat the good stuff. Back off. So my wild card is the costuming choices in the Bachelor franchise, and especially some of the decisions being made by the stylists this season. So overall, I think it's very clear that the Bachelor franchise hates socks on men. I hate socks. I don't like wearing socks unless I need them because I'm wearing boots or I'm wearing athletic shoes. But I just feel like the kinds of shoes that the men are wearing, which are usually dress shoes, and then they never wear socks with those dress shoes, and then they're in like pants that are questionably too tight, questionably too short. Their feet, and we kind of stereotypically know that men don't often take the best care of their feet anyways.
Yeah.
Their feet must be riddled with like blisters and calluses, and just those shoes must smell like death, because none of those guys are ever wearing socks, especially during the rose ceremony. And what is clear in this season of the rose ceremony is that it is 45 degrees below zero on that deck when they're doing the rose ceremony, and everyone is visibly freezing, like their bodies are shaking, their teeth are chattering, and still none of the men are wearing socks. This is a prime time for those wonderful inventions known as wool socks that keep your ankles warm and your calves warm, and none of them are wearing socks. And then my second rant, because this is more of a rant than a wild card.
Rachel Nicole's dress.
Oh my God. Okay.
So Twitter blew their mind up.
I am a fan of the puffed sleeve because I am a fan of Anne of Green Gables. In the Anne of Green Gables series, Anne Shirley made a real big deal about wanting to have puffed sleeves. It was the height of fashion and sophistication at the turn of the 20th century in Canada and parts of the United States, I'm sure. And Anne Shirley fought like the Dickens. Matthew got her a dress with puff sleeves. Everyone cheered. It was amazing. The dress that Rachel Nicole Barb wore that looked, I think they were trying to make her look like a heart because it was red and the sleeves were ridiculous. And I said, no, thank you. I don't ever want to see that again on The Bachelorette. Her dresses have been kind of all over the place this season. She is a beautiful woman. She has a beautiful figure, and they're putting her in some of the most crazy dresses possible. And then they bring them both out onto the deck. Again, freezing cold, North Atlantic. We've got like the Titanic band playing in the background, and they're both wrapped in these like fur-lined blankets because it's so cold out. So you can't even see their dresses. Stylists of The Bachelorette, check yourself because you're wrecking yourself.
Well, it's crazy because I feel like they're doing a really good job with Gabby. Like, Gabby looks really well. And it's like, it's almost like because Gabby and Rachel Nicole of Green Gables has like a very different figure. And it's like, I wonder if they're like, we're only dressing one of them today. She's going to have to wear the same thing that Gabby can wear.
But her figure isn't hard to dress.
No,
like,
that's true.
None of them have hard to dress figures. Right. Honestly, I would say that no one has a hard to dress figure. If you have stylists working for you, you should be able to be dressed properly and look good no matter what your size is. And if the American fashion industry would get on it, anyone would look good in anything because they would actually be making dress clothes for women of all sizes. But I'm going to step off that soapbox and come back to the Bachelorette puffed sleeves soapbox. It's like nobody likes Rachel, and so they're just dressing her like a disaster.
Yeah, Elaine said it looked like they were trying to make her look like a heart, and that is the only conceivable reason I think they could have put her in that dress.
They should have made her look like a rose and have like an amazing like neckline situation.
Yeah.
Because again, puff sleeves were the height of fashion in 1903. And we are now in 2022. No, thank you. No, thank you.
That was a good one. I enjoyed that.
Rant is over. And please watch the Megan Fellows, Anne of Green Gables, and Anne of Avonlea from Canadian broadcasting from the 1980s. It will change your life. Now I'm done.
All right. Lessons learned. That's a good way to just segue into lessons learned.
Oh, I learned I have some feelings about puff sleeves.
Yeah.
My other feelings are they also did Rachel dirty. What I learned is they didn't have someone that could lower the seat on Rachel's bicycle so that she could actually ride her bicycle in the tulip field. Like, that girl was on the struggle bus because the seat was too high for her legs. So that's rude of the production staff to not have her be able to ride the bike that they're making her ride, and she almost took out like a half a field of tulips.
Yeah.
That's not really a lesson, but I'm gonna call it that.
No, that's a lesson. Hey, I used to compete in triathlons. Make sure your bike is properly fit.
If your bike seat is too high, you will wreck and you will hurt yourself.
It can ruin a day. And there's
It
a lot of bars. Well, Elaine, hi Elaine, is actually in a sling for 8 weeks because she took a terrific tumble from her bike and broke her humerus. Quit laughing, everyone. It's not funny.
It's not funny, it's humorous.
It's not funny, it's her humerus. Yeah. But she was having like a PTSD like shock thing while she was watching that.
Yeah.
My lesson is that there's an alternate universe where Kim and I are best friends in college and we eat nachos and watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I did not realize we had this much in common. I feel like we're the exact same age. So it's like we're like strangers in the night here.
But I didn't watch Buffy in college. I discovered Buffy when I was studying abroad. My flatmates were all big Buffy fans and they introduced me to Buffy. And then my roommate, when I lived in St. Paul, had all of the seasons on DVD. So I watched all of the seasons on DVD. And then when we got a really bad snowstorm, when the dome broke, I rewatched all of Buffy because you couldn't go anywhere for 3 days. It was magical.
I watched them almost in real time, and the 5 guys I lived with made fun of me constantly, and I was like, I don't care. It's a great TV show.
Did they see what Sarah Michelle Gellar looks like? They should have been watching it too.
It was great TV. I don't care.
It was.
Yeah. They were like, I'm going to watch The Sopranos. It's like, it is just as good as The Sopranos.
I've tried to watch The Sopranos. I can't get through The Sopranos, but I've watched the Buffy series at least twice all the way through.
All right. You ready for our shout out?
Yes.
Shout out. Our shout out town is Limerick, Pennsylvania, not Limerick, Ireland. Yeah. It was named for the hometown of an early settler, William Evans, whose family arrived in the area from Limerick, Ireland. So it is named after it. It is about 22.8 square miles. It is 34 miles from Philadelphia.
Okay.
In 2010, it had about 91% white people, 3.4% African American, 0.1 Native American, 3.2 Asian, and 1.8 other or Latino. They have about 13,000 people. And do you know anyone from Limerick? Can you name any famous people?
Well, I was going to ask something that is timely but political, so we'll age it the minute this posts. But when you said 91% white, I was going to ask, are they going to vote for the guy who lives in New Jersey who doesn't understand what a crudité platter looks like, or are they going to vote for Fetterman? But you don't know that yet because the election is not until November. Well,
I can tell you because the Wikipedia has got some info on it. They are 52% Democrat and 47.8% Republican.
So they will vote for Fetterman probably
in the last presidential election. So,
all right.
Yeah. And they're most famous on their Wikipedia page. The person they list as their most famous person is Bob Shout, aka Notorious B.O.B. He is a competitive eater holding numerous world records, including eating 59.6 pounds of food and drink in 4 hours.
What kind of food and drink?
It just says food or drink.
Do we think he's done the Nathan's hot dog contest?
I've heard of him. As many people know, I am a big Nathan's hot dog fan. He ate 52 hot dogs in 10 minutes, which is a lot.
That's a lot of hot dogs.
But the record is like 78. So
is he a big guy or a small guy?
Oh yeah, he big boy.
Okay.
He ate 95 Crystal hamburgers in 8 minutes, 39 in 2 minutes. He ate 38 Johnsonville brats in 10 minutes.
That's heart.
He ate 14 pounds of chili spaghetti in 10 minutes.
What is chili spaghetti?
I don't know. He ate 10 pounds of shoe fly pie in 10 minutes. That, my friends, is Limerick, Pennsylvania.
I'm not going to say that I could compete against him because clearly I could not. But I did once have a chef come out of the kitchen because
yeah.
he was so impressed with how much food I ate because he didn't believe that it was me that ate 2 of the same exact order in less than 90 minutes that included French fries and a burger and a hash brown because I was that hungry. And he was like, how big is that guy? And the waitress was like, it's a girl. And he didn't believe her. So he came out of the kitchen and she pointed me out and I waved at him and he shook his head.
And
so I can't compete, but I can throw some food down.
And for those of the people who don't know, Kim is not, you're like what, 5'3", 5'4"?
I'm 5'3".
She's not a large person, so it is impressive. So, well,
that was lovely. Thank you for teaching me about Limerick, Pennsylvania.
Thank you. That's it.
That's it.
Any big plans for the weekend?
Yes, I will be celebrating the fabulous softball season that we had by going to Toppling Goliath with our softball team.
Yep.
And then I will be packing.
Nice.
That's what I'll be doing.
Positive thoughts to you.
Yes. How about you? What are you up to?
I am going to sleep because I think I'm on like 18 hours down on what I should be for the last week. My camping pad broke the first night, and so I slept on rocks almost the whole time. So
that's not comfortable.
Yeah, I have been loving sleeping in bed. So yeah.
Awesome.
Real acquainted.
Love it.
All right, everybody. Send positive thoughts to Kim as she packs.
Yes, please.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You have been listening to Batchademia
with your hosts, Danielle Dick McGee,
Kim Hanna,
and Bill Hennig.
All thoughts and opinions expressed on the show are solely those of the person who spoke them.
If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe to the show, leaving a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast.
Also, please share with your family, friends, colleagues, and other ardent Bachelor fans.
If you have comments or questions you would like us to address on the show, you can email us at batchademia@gmail.com.
Or on the Twitter with the handle @Batchademia.
Thanks for listening.